Hey guys, this is Cody. I am starting up a new channel with the Nexus Event Studio, and basically what I plan on doing is learning game development and being able to hopefully put out some games and to be able to also teach some software development. To further that, I'm basically starting a Let's Play on Bitburner. Now, this is something I've played times in the past, but right now I'm kind of starting it over and hopefully kind of teaching a little bit of JavaScript as I go through. So this will be a little basic. Once I get going on this, I'll take a lot of what I do here, condense those into shorter videos that you'll be able to actually use and do things with. So with that, we'll go ahead and get started. So this is the beginning of Bitburner here. It starts off with a tutorial. You can go through the tutorial. I'm going to go ahead and just skip it because I have done this a few times. Some of the main things to point out is, as it mentions in the tutorial as you go through it, this is kind of the terminal. Now this is something that we actually use a lot in software development. We do different commands. So for example, ls will list all the different things that are in the current folder or directory. In this case, I'm in the home directory. And there are a whole lot. I think if you do help here, it'll give you a list of all the various different commands that you can do. And as you see here, you can do the help and you can actually get more information on what it is. So definitely something we actually use. So you'll kind of get familiar with it as you do things. And for this game, you'll actually need it. So the whole point of this game is, one, it's an idle game. That's the main thing to keep in point. This is idle. So it does take some time to do things. And the neat thing is that because we are programming and doing the pieces necessary to make the idle work, how quickly it idles is all up to how well you can write the different programs. So what, to kind of give a start, we're going to do things manually, see how that goes. And then from there, we will go and actually make it automated. So with that, one of the things that we need to do is we need money. So you can kind of see up here, you have a little bit of money. The way we do that is we go and hack other servers. So that's the very quick, dirty way to do it at first. So the first thing I'm going to do is looking up at here. We've got the different things. And so I believe in analyze, you can start typing in, hit tab, and it'll bring up. So I'm analyzing this. That was not the right command that I needed, but it gives us information about our particular computer, the one that we're connected to. What I want is a list of all the different things. And it is, see, I said I've played this, but it's been a little bit scanned. That was the one I wanted. All right, so these are all the different computers that you can connect to. And so you can actually hit connect, which was up above. You can scroll and get back up to it. And here we're going to connect to the first one in the list, which is noodles. Again, I can start typing, hit tab, because it's kind of built in here. And so now I'm connected to noodles. All right, great. So as I mentioned, we want to hack things. So type hack. And as you can see, the first thing is we need to have administration access. And you can see that here in the scan. Do we have administrative access, or in this case, root access, as that's called? No, we do not. All right, so how do we do that? If you notice on our home computer, we had no backdoor. Up above, you'll see backdoor installs the backdoor. So we're going to do that here. Backdoor. Don't have administrative. Oops. Not backdoor. What was the one I wanted? No, if I would have done the tutorial, this would have gone back so much further. It would actually tell me what it is I needed to do. Connect CP experiments. Oh no. And scan. Can. Yeah, they're probably all yelling at me. It's this thing right here. That for sure is backdoor, obviously not. Oh, come on. Okay, fine. Boom, here, options. In here is reset tutorial. There we go. It's going to actually make you go through. I can explain stats here soon. Terminal. I know, it's where I was just at. We did help. List to list. Scan. Scan dash analyze. Gets more information. Again, no reaccess. Need skill 1. Scan, analyze 2 will give you further depth. So there's further depth. Connect to noodles. Analyze. Yep, we know. That's right, run nuke. So it's not one of the commands. Okay, so if we go back to, actually, I think it's still there. We go back, hitting Command Z in my case because I'm on a Mac, or Control Z, go back, reset. But if we go back to home where we were listed, one of the programs that we have on our computer is nuke. And so what we're doing is we're running the nuke program. There we go. And so now I have root access. So now if I do backdoor, oh, it's gonna make me do the tutorial. Fine, okay. So as I was trying to show earlier, you hack, so we use that to get money. And kind of as I was saying up here in the tutorial, is that the amount of money you get is a percentage of what is actually there on the server. So if we had, I believe when we analyzed, it shows that much is on the server. So I don't know what the percentage is that you get, but it's based on, I'm sure, the hacking skills and the various pieces. And so in this case, we ended up failing to hack. And so you would just try again. And so as you notice, this is taking some time, but we did gain some experience for our hacking skills. And so it used to have the thing there to show what our things were. There we go. So here it was actually successful. We took that amount of money. We got even more hacking experience. And now here's what it's saying about the security, as I was mentioning up here. So the more security that this has, the longer it'll take to hack. So we try to keep that, you know, as low as possible. And so you lower that by doing week N. So from there, that again takes time. It'll go through and it'll actually weaken. And in this case, it'll bring that security back down. In this case, it's so low that there's really not a reason to weaken yet, but it kind of just to go show, you can see it goes down by that much. And so really we could have gained a whole lot more and hacked a lot more. So the big one is grow, because as you take money away from it, it has less. And since they were taking a percentage away, what that means is that as the amount of money on the server goes down, you'll get less money as you hack. For every time you hack, you get fewer dollars. So we need to grow to get it up. So this grew it because this is like the very basic first server that you would connect to. This one's got, you know, ungodly percentage on here. And so it went up by a bunch. You can see our security jumped a whole lot more on this than it did on the hack. And so now we can go back to our weekend and kind of bring that back down. So that's kind of the pieces there. Obviously, sitting here at the computer doing weekend and grow and hack and all that is very tedious, time consuming, and I get pretty much nothing out of it. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to automate a lot of this. And this is where writing the JavaScript and all that kind of comes in here. But as you can see with this hack, of course we failed. So we'll try it again. The point is that I was going to show is that now that we've got a lot more money in here, we're going to see a much bigger thing. So instead of $288, we'll get a whole lot more out of that. Let's go ahead and hit next on that. Here we go. See, almost 4K. So much, much better. So we'll start a weekend. You're gonna make me follow the thing. Okay, fine. So we got home. All right, so Nano that's talking about here is creating a new editor, and we can put any kind of name we want for the file. In this case, it's telling us to do the noodles.js. And so when we say Nano here, this is an actual program. I mean, it's not like this per se, but this is kind of within the game. But Nano is something that actually lives on Linux computers and on Mac, and you can actually open up the terminal on a real computer, hit Nano and a file name, and it'll actually create the file and let you edit it somewhat similar to this, not quite as the same. Typically, this allows you to use the mouse, and the other doesn't really do that. So we'll go ahead and copy this. Got it all in there. Hit save. You can click down here, or you can do the hotkey that shows there. So do that. Hit freeze so you can see how much RAM. We're not using any RAM. This is how much we have available. And then it's wanting us to run that script. So we bring that in here. Then you can come up here to active scripts and actually see, once you click on home, there's Noodles, and you can see it's running. You can click on it and it'll actually tell you more information about it, the arguments that we put into it, how many threads it's running under, how long it's been going, how much money it's made, yada, 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 all that fun stuff. So go back to terminal, tail. Again, this is another one of those things that exists within a real computer, where it shows, except for it doesn't do this, it doesn't actually pop up in a real computer. It'll actually add it down into the thing, the command prompt terminal. But it'll tail, or the last bit of the log statements. That's hence tail. And so we can see here that we're now automated. We didn't have to run hack because now we've got a JavaScript running and doing that for us. And so then there's the documentation. Yay. So one of the things I did is I actually pulled up Bitburner here. So the next thing it wants to teach us about is the hacknet, where we can get other different servers. And so these are another way to have passive amounts of money that's not dependent upon the other servers. And you can upgrade them, buy more. If I had the money. No, it's because I'm in a tutorial and it won't let me. But it'll let me do that one. So I'll pump that up so we start getting some more money. There we go. All right, so our city, you can actually travel around from place to place. For example, there's a gym where you can get your strengths up. There is the university. So you can take like an algorithms course and get experience for that. One thing that's neat, or at least within this newer version, a lot of the tutorials and a lot of things that you find on YouTube will not have, they're a much older version. They're like 1 point something or not as new. So on those, so if I go to the slums here, you know, you can do different crimes, which kind of pay out, gives you experience and things like that. In those older versions, you had to manually go and do this every time. On newer versions, it'll just redo them over and over again. And so that's part of the reason I'm also doing this, is to get some new videos that are more up to date. So documentation, again, a lot of that, the page that you saw. The nice thing about this one is it doesn't allow for, what is it called? See things in advance. My mind just went blank. So these are mechanics and things that are coming, so you won't have access. Spoilers. That's the word I was looking for. So it hides the spoilers. So, all right. So now we've got in here, got monies. Let's go back to our hacknet. Get a few more. Crank those up a little. There we go. All right, more passive money. All right, so let's go ahead and go back to our script here, and let's kind of break down a little bit more of what's going on. So there's multiple pieces to this. First off, there's this main function right here. So if we take this part out, this is kind of the beginning and the end, the braces there. Bring it back in. Export means that it is allowed to be viewable outside of this particular file. So in JavaScript, you can kind of have multiple files kind of chained together, so that way you don't have to have everything in one file. You can kind of spread things out. And we have this particular main because that's going to be starting for this piece. You know, it's the main one, so it starts there. All right, so, and then these are all just kind of keywords, a function to say it's a function. Asynchronous, that's a piece we'll talk about later, but basically that's what allows things to be done not in order, basically. You can, much like an email, you send that out, you don't get a reply immediately like you're talking on a phone. You have to wait for that to come back. That's asynchronous. Whereas like a cell phone talking on the phone would be synchronous. It's all happening in real time kind of thing. So this is a while statement. Yay. Very much in that it's got braces in here. And the main thing is that this is the condition. So whatever the condition is, so you can say 1 is 1. Does 1 equal 1? Yeah, it's true. So therefore it works. Does 1 equal 3? No, it doesn't. So it's false. So you'll never run this. And so since instead of just doing a weird thing like 1 equals 1, you can just say, hey, we'll just say it's true. So you can do the same thing. Like if you were to do var x equals 1, 1 here, and then you can change this, and now still get the same thing. And so instead of writing a variable to then put in here, they're just going ahead and putting the true in there. And so when it's true, the things inside of here get run, or are run, whatever. So it works basically. False, it doesn't. It's the same thing for, these are called conditions, but now this if statement is basically the same thing. You know, if it's true, if I could spell it, you'd have the same thing. You could await on here. So the main difference is, if you noticed on here, when we've got our messaging here, it's running it over and again and again and again and again, because while it's true, it goes through and it loops it again and again and again and again. If we were to get rid of that and just go to this if, it would only run it one time. If this is true, run this statement, get to the end, go to the end, and you would see that it would be done. So if I were to end that, and we will go to the terminal, we'll say run noodles. So now we have that running. Go to active scripts. You see we've got two of them running. We got our original one and the new one. I can hit logs here and you can see the logs. There's the one execution. So we'll let that go. And what you'll see is eventually you'll see it finish, and then that's it. Because it doesn't keep looping. That's the power of the while. While it's true, keep doing this thing. So this is a great little starting point. The problem with it, as we were mentioning earlier, is that with the server, you gotta have to grow and you have to weaken. So eventually, if we were to just run this and we were to go leave and get a meal, go to the bathroom, you know, go whatever, eventually what'll happen is you'll hack and take all the money out of noodles, and then that'll be the it. So here you can see our if statement as done. It's finished. It hit the end, so now it's done running. So yeah, that's that piece. So what we're going to do is we're going to change this so that way, instead of always just hacking, we're going to go for a very simple piece here. So you have hack, and then we will await. So the easiest way to remember with these hacks, I think if you hover over it, no, it's not going to. Oh, because let's, you know what, I cannot remember the syntax for that. So let's undo this all. Right there. I want this guy. All right, and we'll bring it all back. So this will be Command Shift C, Control Shift C. All right. So this is special. So this is what they call a comment. So this is code. It's not code that's run. It doesn't run this or anything like that. So you can put comments in various places. Do it that way. You can do it with 2 slashes. The difference being that this one you can have multiple lines, whereas the slash, it's only that particular line. You can see it's gray just like it. So what this is doing is it sets up some extra little sugar, we call documentation, and kind of say, hey, we're telling what this NS variable is here. This method argument kind of says what this is. And so this is an interface that has a whole bunch of different things. So now when I hover over hack, it'll actually give me information about how to use it, things like that. So a lot of what's there is if we went back to extra little tidbit here so you can get that piece there. So what we're going to do is we're going to build up various different scripts. And while I do that, I'm going to just go and buy a bunch more of this stuff. Since I'm doing things, it's nice to have money. Just give me money faster while I'm doing the various different things. There we go. All right. So we're going to take very simple approaches. And I think actually in the documentation, even here, yeah, the beginner's guide, it'll have some different ideas and things that you can do. Does this one have different algorithms? No, it doesn't. Okay. So if we go back to the documentation that we had over on the other side, that you can go through to get the different things. So what they would have is one, which is a very basic. The reason I liked it is because it didn't give you code; it gave you general ideas. So the idea being that you want to, if the server is at max money, then hack server. Then it had, if the server is not at min security, then you're going to weaken it. And then if server is not at max money, then you're going to grow the server, right? So this is kind of just different ways to make sure that you're not going to run out of cash, basically, out of this whole thing, and make sure you get something that's nice. And so with that, just to kind of show that, so we've got, do we have server money? So we need get server, right? And the particular one we want, one we've been dealing with is noodles. Or is that an E, or do they have? Yeah, they did an E. Okay. So we got noodles, and we're going to say go to server, so we need money, right? Money is not available. So money available, that's how much money they have available. And if that is less than the get server noodles. So this is a very terrible way of doing this, as you'll see here in a second. And we want the money max. So if it's less than that, we're going to say, hey, okay, now we're going to hack the server. So ns hack, it's the what's down below. Noodles, yay. All right. And then we were saying, hey, if we're not at min security, hey, instead I'm going to switch this around and say ns dot. All right, we'll do it this way, and then I'll show after this one. So basically we're doing the same kind of thing. We want security. Server growth, that's not, I want security, hack difficulty, has admin rights, max min difficulty, oh, they call it difficulty, so security. I don't think it's difficulty. All right, I'll have to figure that out. But since we just hacked it, we already know the security is not going to be at the minimum because we just hacked it. So I'm just going to cheat here and just say ns dot weaken. And frankly, since grow also, I'll bring it back. Since we can grow, as I was saying, also does that, we will just do noodles, and then we'll weaken. I hit the wrong button. Noodles there. So I gotta figure out what it is that it was there. So yay, there we go. Oh, and I just noticed I forgot the await. You guys were all probably screaming at me. Wait. Cool. So now do this. Well, grow is already going to be at, there's really no, because I'm going to grow it, it'll get to max. So there's really no need to test. I can just bam, do that. So that's the thing, is there's many different ways to do something. This will just always be true here because we're going to grow, which is going to max it out. And then we're going to see it's true. So we're going to hack it. And as soon as we hack, we're going to grow it, making it back to max. And so there's really no need to have this if there. You can basically, as what we say, simplify, and now much simpler. So another way to make this simpler as well, so you can say a var, a variable. We'll just call this server name. We're going to say the name is noodles. And so now I don't have to keep typing noodles, which is this weird string that I have to remember and make sure I spell it right. I'll just use server name. And the nice thing about server name is it now shows up in here because it's a variable, so I can hit tab and I make sure I don't misspell something. So this is now going to be slightly better than what we had. The problem is it's still not the best because I'm going to hack and grow and then weekend. But I don't need to grow yet. I could potentially do a few hacks first, you know, and then grow and then deal with the weekend. But that'll be a little better. But that kind of also is not fun because this only works for one server. And if we go back to terminal and do scan, we can see there's a whole bunch of different ones. And so now I'd have to be creating a new file, a new file for each of them. And that's just a lot of work, a lot of typing, a lot of figuring that out. And so instead, what we're going to do is do things a little different. So, this will work for the moment for noodles. So I'm going to go ahead and go to our active scripts. I'm going to go ahead and just kill the one that we got. So that's gone. And come back in here and we'll run noodles again. All right. So now I've got a little bit better. It's only a little bit better. Now we'll be able to get better money on that. Great. Speaking of money, let's buy a few more of these because now we have even more money while we're trying to figure out what kind of stuff we're going to be writing. All right. Beautiful. All right. So one of the other things we'll do, well, let's go back to active scripts. So does it show here in active? No, it doesn't. All right. So we'll go back to here and what was it? Free. There we go. So just that one script, we're already using 2 gigabytes. We only have 8, so not clearly going to be enough for all these different things. Because we bought our hack nets, we actually have a little bit of cash. So if we go into the city and go up to the Alpha Entertainment here, we can actually nope, not that one. This one. We can actually upgrade the amount of RAM that we have. So before we had 8, now we have 16. Go back here, go back to free. And I got a lot more. Yay, more memory. So I can run more things. So, yeah, I'll talk about these things later. But basically, you can buy more servers. And more specifically, you can do that via scripts as well. And so, all right. So the next thing I'm going to talk about is more JavaScript. So I kind of threw this variable thing at you. This is variable just like it is in like algebra. You can say it's a variable of X, a variable of y equals 2, you know, and so then I can say variable z equals x plus y. Plus y. Come on. You can do it. Right. And so then I can say, I can even come in here and now say where z is greater than or equal to 3. Oh, we can do 2. So z in this case is going to be greater than 2, and so we can do that. So in JavaScript, the thing to be careful for is if you notice I've got var here, this is, you know, a variable that can be whatever name I want it to be, and, you know, whatever. It can be whatever we want. So put that in how you want. If you notice, this is a number. This is a string or characters, a string of characters, a string. There's weirdness here. So right now, server name has a string, but I can also say server name equals 1 now. And so right here, it has the string noodles. Now when it gets to this line, we're going to say it equals to 1. So you're going to be hacking 1, which doesn't make sense. And then it'll go and go boom. So I believe I can actually show that. If you go here in the terminal, run noodles, kaboom, it blew up. 1 doesn't really thing. If go back. If you notice here, it shows it as a string. Well, we had it as a 1 earlier. So JavaScript is what we call loosely typed. So, you know, I said there's a string, there's an integer, you know, a number. There are other programming languages, for example, Java itself, that when you set a variable, you don't just say, hey, it's a string and now it can become an integer. Once you say this variable is a string, it can only be a string forever. That's it. It can only be a string. It can't be anything else. JavaScript, loosely typed, you can kind of put whatever you want in it. So you've got that. You can have server name equals, this is a map where I can say hello, world. Oh my goodness. I've been playing in too many different, there it is, too many programming languages. Yeah, syntax I was showing was PHP. So, no, JavaScript. Here we go. So in there, we can do this. And so now I can say, I'll show you another one. Log. Right. No, it wasn't right. That was log. Print. There we go. Values to be printed. So server name dot hello. So that should print out world. And we'll bring back our noodles. So terminal. Run noodles. Tail. Noodles. And that gave me the first noodles. I don't want the first one that was running. I want the one that was currently running. Or the second one. So you can see it printed out world there in our thing. So come back in here. This is now a map where I can now say server.hello. This is important to know because there are certain things in here. For instance, the get server that we were doing, earlier. You'll see that it had that same kind of thing, right? So when I said the money available, it's that same kind of concept. So this is actually get server is returning a server object. Actually, I guess that's a little slightly different, but there are some of the methods in here which return this kind of map, and you get the data that way. Yeah. So bring these back. We'll go back to our true. All right. So printing. You'll see this used a bunch because sometimes I will mess up and not understand what's going on. And so I have to print things so I can see, oh, this is a different object than what I was thinking it was. Or, hey, this, if we go back in here, no, it's not going to go back. When we were changing and saying, x equals 1. And then I came down here and was like, hey, 3 equals x plus x. I was thinking, it's a lot like math. Hey, why isn't this working? Why am I missing things? So you could say, hey, I need to print out what this equals. So I could be like, all right, so I need to say print x plus x, and it'll run it to be like, oh, it printed out 2, and oh, I thought it was supposed to be 3. So no wonder my while's not running. So yeah, the print is good to have, as well as you can do things like about to hack. So that way when you're looking in here, you can see things, or hey, I need to make a decision, or I want debugging information, or I just want to know what's going on. When I look at the logs, you can print it out and do that. So cool. Where do I want to go next? So let's go ahead and head back to our terminal at ls. We have our handbook here. And so these lights, you can have that. I believe you can do, can you tail it? Maybe it was cat. Yeah, cat. That also brings it up. Or you just click on it after that. So this kind of gives you a story of what's actually going on. So there's a little bit of a story. You'll eventually see the different pieces kind of come up. And this talks about the different percentages and that get security level. Haha, that's the one that I wanted. All right, so there's that piece. We have enough money. I'm gonna buy some more RAM. Yay, more RAM. All right, so what we want to do is continue to make things better. And before that, to get some more of those. First one up to 100 some. Sweet. So what I'm doing is kind of upgrading these, as you saw. So one thing you'll notice, if I go back to 1 here, you can see that buying 1 at 51,000 gives me an additional $1.5 a second. This one gives me 6. So when I got up to here, it would have been better money-wise to have actually, instead of buying more of those, to actually buy. So if you notice, this is $6 some. This is only 5. That's because it's based on the level here. So I had this level smaller, so this single thing on RAM is only going to go up, not quite as much. Same thing applies for the cores. 29, 25, right? So I'd have been better off buying one of these guys. Here, it's still questionable. That one definitely not. So, yeah. All right. Let's see what we got going on here. Yeah. So our script editor, we're just gonna leave it at that. So I wish I could find that algorithm. Actually, I could probably just type in here. Algo. How do you spell algorithm? Algorithm. Hey, there you go. This is why I like Google, because it's my spell check. Usually does a better job. Hey, there we go. Hacking algorithms. Advanced gameplay. Okay, there it is. All right. So here's kind of that piece there that I was talking about. So we call this pseudocode. So it's not actually the code that you can put. You can't copy paste it and have it run. But it's kind of sort of code. You got the ifs, and I didn't explain about else. Basically, else is if it's this, do it, right? If it's not that, go to the next one. So if it's this, else, do this other thing. So if this is true, do that, else, do this, because the other one was not true. If you have here with this else if, it basically goes in order. If, then the next one, else, if, then the next, not that one, then the next one. So that's kind of just how that works. So here's the kind of self-contained, the easy, way that we were going to go with that. The reason you need to do these security pieces here is because unlike with Noodles, and I didn't switch my screen. go back to our scene here, that this, if we say takes, 12 seconds, and then 12 seconds, and then 12 seconds, so on and so forth, and then 40 seconds, and then another 40 seconds. So to get through this, it probably takes a minute, 2 minutes, probably 2.5 minutes, we'll say, to get through this one chunk here. Whereas with the batching, because you've got this running, and then you've got another batch running, and then you've got within those batches each of these different scripts running, and so you can just like see things just churning out all the time. And so that's kind of what that's going for. And like I said, I've never done it, so it's hard, and I just have other times and I don't want to do the math. So with that, I'm just going to go through and build each of these. And so you can kind of see a little bit on how that goes. And we can talk a little more JavaScript and with that. So let me grab a drink. And I need to start. All right, I need to rearrange some windows. All right. Sweet. All right. Let's get to making those scripts. All right. So the first one, actually first I'm going to create a new script. And we'll use the same names I have here. So self-contained, do nano, self-contained JS JavaScript. All right, so do I introduce? Yeah, let's do that. So if we go back to the terminal here, so when we ran noodles here, you can add extra pieces. So like if you go to help, it says you can add extra, parameters, or as on the other side, the arguments and things like that. So, right. So you can say help command, right? So help hack. So we can do the same thing. Run takes a script, but it also takes arguments. So these are things that you can pass in. So for instance, I could pass in on the self-contained, I didn't save it yet, so we'll use the noodles. I can pass in whatever I want. So I can pass in 1, I can pass in here, I can pass in, whatever. So in this particular case, there's 3 arguments, 1, 2, and 3. So if I go back to script editor here, I can do ns.args, and then I can get those arguments. So we can put them into a variable, right? So this is the arguments. So arg0, 1, 2, 3. So this is an array. I haven't talked about arrays yet. This is a good chance to talk about arrays. All right, so an array. So this is going to have different things in it. So var, we'll just do boo. I don't know why I like boo as a variable, but I do. All right, so this is an array. I can say 1, 2. Let's not do that. Let's do A, B, C, right? So this is an array, has A, B, C in it. So I can come down here and say var letter equals boo 0. All right, so this is why I didn't use numbers, so I wouldn't confuse you guys. So what I've done here is basically this is a list, if you will, an array. They're called an array. And an array has elements in it. So this element has the A in it. This element has B, C, etc., etc. As long as you want. Obviously, until you run out of memory on your computer. But you have as long as you want. What we're doing, though, is we're saying, hey, I want the first element. So when I say first element, a lot of things in computer science, programming, they start at 0, not at 1, because when you're dealing with binary numbers, you only have 0 and 1, so you start at 0, and then 1, and then 2 would become, the number 2 would be the binary 1, 1, right? So you start at 0. And so this 0 can be A, or change that to 1. We're now looking at B, change this to 2. We're looking at C, change this to 3. Well, the thing goes boom, because there is none, right? So that's a problem. We don't want that. So what happens, though, is if we go back to our ns.arguments, well, you know, as I showed earlier, I could pass in 1 argument. I could pass in 2. I could pass in 3. How do I know? Is this going to go boom? Or is this one going to go boom? Or is that one going to go boom because we didn't add anything? Or better yet, will that go boom because we didn't add anything? Right. So what we can do is we have, let's not put boo in there. Actually, yeah, let's do that. So what I can do is I can say length. What is the length? Is it greater than 0? If it is greater than 0, then let's get it. Hey, let's do an if statement. So if boo.length is greater than 0, meaning we have things in it, there's more than one element in there, then we say, hey, we know that the first element, there we go, equals that, right? So now we can say, just go ahead and do this, ns print the first element, except for that should go boom, because, well, I think it should go boom. If it was Java, it would definitely go boom. PHP, that would not go boom. And we'll just, oh, did I save it? Save, self-contained, okay. Self-contained, it did not. Okay, hey, I learned something. All right, go back here to active scripts. It's not there because it only runs recently killed. Self-contained, walk. Undefined, okay. So it didn't actually go kaboom. It didn't die, but what it said was that the first element doesn't exist. Well, you can say, well, hey, it's right here. It should exist. So this is the thing about ifs and the methods and things like that. So because I said within this if, this variable exists, once we leave the if, that variable no longer exists. So when we tried to print it, we try to print something that no longer exists, hence the reason it's undefined. So again, this is why I mentioned earlier about the NSPrint. It's nice to do these things to say, hey, what happened here? So if I were to move this here, right, and then run this, I believe I can do ms tail. Yeah. Cool. So that should just open it up automatically now. Yep, there we go. Undefined. Oh, duh. Because we didn't pass in I'm so dumb. So I gotta have an argument. So hello. All right. So now it actually has them both times. So in Java, that wouldn't have worked. JavaScript, it allows that. PHP, I guess, allows that. So, yeah. I don't use JavaScript all that often, as you can tell. So I'm probably not the best one to be teaching. But hey, you know, to each their own. Cool. All right, so if we want to get back to the arrays, the biggest reason I wanted to use this was to say, hey, else, we're going to do this. Actually, we're not going to do the else. I'm going to do even better. So, var server name, as we had earlier, noodles, right? So, from there, I will do this. So this is going to be where I'm going to go. As args, because foo is a terrible name. And we're going to say server name instead of var. All right. So what's going to happen now is we use the server name. And if the, I don't know. All right. So setting it server name to noodles. If we happen to have arguments, we're going to say the first argument is going to be the server name. So we'll replace noodles with the new argument and we'll print the server name. So now what I can do is I can say, run self-contained home now has home instead of noodles. Now, but if I run self-contained and I forget to put the thing, it'll at least target noodles. So we could do other things as well. We could say, hey, if it is less than 1, instead of that, what we'll do is we'll say, hey, hey, dummy, you need a server name. And then tail, and it's tail. So, or actually, can you do tell? There's one that I think prints to the actual command line. Oh wait, to that, I think it might be print. Click error. So, I've never used it this way. going to do. There we go. There a way? I swear there's a way to have it print in the terminal as opposed to opening a thingy, but I can't think of it at the moment. So tail, and then we're going to exit. So now what this does is this is saying, hey, if there's no arguments, now I don't even need that. Let's get rid of that too. It says, hey, there's no arguments, then, well, I guess you'll see. So, hey, need a server name. Exit, killed it. So it didn't actually get down to the other pieces. So you can do that. So that way, if you forget, oh yeah, I forgot I needed to put a thing with it. You have a way to remind yourself. So, personally, I like having that at the moment, so we're going to do it that way. All right, so if we go back and I'm going to copy our pseudocode. Whatever. Start there. So there's our little pseudocode. All right, so we want to loop forever, so it'll be a while true. So that takes care of our loop forever. If security is not minimum, so ns security get server security level host name, want that as server name, is not minimum, get security level. So what does this return? This returns the current one. So our current security, all right, var max security. So I like these names much better than the boo that I had earlier. One of the things that you will absolutely should do, security min security. Oh, that's right. I didn't want max. I want min. All right. Can I finish? Oh, dang it. Okay. I clicked away. So what that was saying is that there's a faction that you can join that, this is good. You want to join factions. Yeah. Okay. So, yay, I joined a faction. So if you see, I'm starting to get rep, as in reputation. And so as we mentioned earlier, the goal is to get lots and lots of money, right? And to increase your hacking, and hey, you want lots of money. At least that's our goal at the moment. As things happen, your goals will shift slightly. But more importantly, by joining a faction, speaking of, here's a deal. So we got this thing, right? So gave us a program in our computer. So we'll get to that. We'll look at this message. The message was saved, so we'll come back to this. So with the factions, you want to get rep, so that way you can get augmentations. So that way you can become a cyborg. Yay, cyborg. So these are implants, augmentations that you get to add that increase and make you better. So for instance here, we get more experience for our hacking. We can hack faster, and we have a better chance of success. That's pretty cool. Yikes. That takes $3 billion. We're at 16 million. So this is why money is king, as usual. You also need the rep. So you got to get those. Basically, you can hover over each of these. This one says you can only get this from this particular faction. That means these other ones you could get from other factions as well. Hey, that means there's other factions. Well, yeah, of course. So, if we go back, right now, this whole time we've been shoplifting while we've been working. So we've been making money shoplifting. We've been making money with the hacknet. I had totally forgotten we had done that. But one of the things you can do details here, and you can do different work. So security work, because I've been, you can see our experience and stuff growing here on the right, getting levels. You can see here's the experience a second. So the more I have of levels of these stats, the more reputation that I will get. So 147, those are about to go up. So 149. So that went up a little tiny bit. However, if I go to, that was security work, go to field work. I can't remember what the other one was now. This one also gives me charisma. 125. 152. See, so that one gives more. What about the hacking? Oh, so security work. And the reason for that is because my dexterity and agility are much higher than the other pieces because of all that shoplifting I've been doing. Oh, terrible person. All right. So, but more importantly, we're getting a reputation even faster. So, yeah, it kind of depends on where you want, what you need, what's being done. But I'm going to leave that. Yeah. Leave it on the hacking. Because that's getting us experience, and that hacking is going to help us when our scripts to run faster. So you can see here we're making roughly $99 a second. What's our hacknet making? 1,319. So yeah, hacknets at the moment definitely making us more money. I can invest a little more in that. We're going to be here a while. I'll take each of these up to 100. I think I'm going to take each of these up to 100. Let's see how much. So, as with all things, we can write a script to manage all these, but probably should do that, but I'm not at the moment. There we go. Hey, now we've almost doubled how much money in the hacknet. Took all my money though. All right, so let's get down to making the stuffs. All right. So, I was going to show the other thing. Okay, so LS, we had our message here, right? But he gave us this sketchy program to run. If you were on a real computer and someone just randomly gives you a executable, don't run it. It's probably a virus or something to that effect. But this is a game, so yeah, it's part of what's going on here. So we'll run it, and it looks like it's given us some new goals that we need. And the goal is to get 30 augmentations, to have 100 billion, and to get our hacking skills up to 2,500. So I could tell you what happens because I know, but that'd be a spoiler. So we'll save those for a little later. But that gives us a new goal. And does that change anything that we're doing? No. We still need to get our script together because that's going to help get us to that goal. So what we're doing is not changing. All right. So cool. So we've got our current security, our minimum security, and we want to say if we're not at the minimum. So if the current is greater than the minimum, then we want to weaken. Await NS weaken server name. Ta-da. Else if, I don't have that one yet. Else, hey, I can do that one. NS hack. Oh, need my await. Don't forget the await. Server name. Woo. All right. So just to say, you don't have to create variables. You can also do ns.getServer. Server name. Money available. It's less if it's not the minimum. So if it's less than the maximum. Rename. Money max. Then we're going to await NS grow. So this is a lot harder to read. Figure out what's going on. Because you need to be like, okay, this is the piece that matters. It's less than, this is the piece that matter. Okay. Money available, less than the money max. Okay, cool. Then I'm going to grow. Whereas here, hey, is the current security greater than the minimum? It's a lot easier to read. And that's why I did it this way. So we're going to do the same thing. Our current, or let's just say money available. Money available. And we're going to copy paste. Actually, since we gave it the same name, I can take it from there. Say money available. Or money max. Shabam. And now we have this one. So, boom. Hey, I was doing stuff. Soon you'll be contacted by them. You should help them. Because, yeah, it's another faction, and they have augmentations. So do it. Yep. All right. Come in here. Bam. Ta-da! We just now did the self-contained one. A little easier. Oh, not easier. It's a little harder, but yeah. So, but if we go out of here, do scan, food and stuff. Cool. So, connect to food and stuff. So we have to analyze. And required number of ports to nuke 0. So we can nuke right away. If this had 1, then we would need to open at least one of these to be able to nuke. So run the nuke. Kaboom. Right, we've got it. Required hacking skill for the hack in the back door. Hey, back door. Does this matter? No, didn't need to do it. The biggest reason you backdoor is just so that way you can connect to it directly. So if we go back to home, we had the scan analyze depth of 2, right? So to get to 0, I would first have to connect to noodles and then connect to 0. But if I put a backdoor on 0, then I can connect from home directly to 0 because I have a backdoor access, right? So that's kind of what that means. So now that I remember. Cool. All right, so now that I have done the admin access to food and stuff, I can now go and, now that I'm at home, self-contained, food and stuff. This one won't, because it's argument, I can't tab. I have to actually type it in. Ta-da! Now hacking food and stuff. Come up here, we can look. I got a noodles, self-contained with food stuff. Login. And you can see here's the security level. Here's the min. So we're obviously not in close. Our hacking skill, not that great, which is why I did this piece. And so yeah, almost 2 minutes. Yeesh. So one thing I need to mention, speaking of this over here with working for Sector 12, if you notice, it's at 1.85. If I focus, it goes back to this page, 231. So what this is saying is that this particular, if you're focusing on your work, almost like real life, right? When you focus on your work, you do a better job. So you get more reputation if you stay here. So obviously it means I can't type any scripts, but what it means that is when you're now idling, you can leave it at this screen and then go and do whatever you want and come back. So, but we're going to write more scripts. So, yeah. So we've done our self-contained. All right. Next, we can do the loop one. Well, we were kind of already sort of hard started that. So let's come over here. All right. So one of the things that you can do is just like a real computer, there's folders. So what I'm going to do is do nano. We're going to call this scripts. So the scripts folder and loop, and then we'll call this hack JavaScript. Save it. All right. So let me show you. Now, when I come back and do ls, you can see scripts. It's also a different color, meaning it's a folder. So now I need to change directory, because these are all directories on the fancy name for folder. So change directory, CD, and we're going to go to those scripts. So now I can do ls in here, and now you can see the loop directory. So I can CD again, go to loop. Now I can see my hack. Change directory, ... means to go back down one. So now I'm no longer in the loop. Now I'm in scripts. CD backpack again, ... We're now back at the home, right? So you can also do CD scripts, loops. I'm hitting tab because to allow autocomplete. You can jump straight through. Yay, another message. They talked to us like they said. So the first test is we have to go and find cybersecurity server and install a backdoor, and then they'll like us. So cool. Yeah, so scripts, loops. You can do CD dot. Doesn't do any. I mean, it does something, but it's when it's just a dot, it means current directory. So I'm going to change directory to my current one. It means I'm going to stay in my current one. So you can also chain ... I'll go down one level and then go down again. So in this case, I'll be back at home. And all this change directory stuff works the exact same way on a real computer. So learn it here. It works over there. Cool. Go back up to script editor. This is our hacking one. So I'm going to come over here back to our self-contained. I'm going to do the same kind of deal. Hey, dummy, you need a server name. Here's our server name. It doesn't take RAM. I like that. That's good. So. Well, true. Wait. ns.hack. Server name. Ta-da, there's the hack script. Need the grow in the weekend. All right. Nano scripts. I hit tab and it brought that in. So now I want weekend. Take that. Save it there. Weekend. Sweet. That one's done. Grow. Boom. Grow. All right. So why is this awesome or not awesome? Whatever else. So if we go back to self-contained, what we're doing is we're saying, hey, do this one. And then once that's done, loop back to the top. Is it still at minimum? No. All right. Do it again. Keep weakening, keep weakening, keep weakening. So if we go back to our active scripts and go to the one that's running here, you can see it's been weakening still. It's going down. So start at 10. We're at 9.4. Well, that's kind of crummy. So what we can do is we're going to say, hey, to help food and stuff get down, we can now say run scripts loop weekend. And I want to do food and stuff. So now I have more of them. Well, we saw that other one was taking like almost 2 minutes. So I don't want one. I want a bunch of them, right? So with a bunch of them, that'll get that. Oh, I ran out of RAM. Oh no. All right. So we've got now a bunch of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So we got 13 of them. So this means that instead of having one run every 2 minutes, now I have 13 of them running that each take 2 minutes, which means that within 2 minutes, I'll have reduced, I think it was 0.05. Is that what it was when we were looking at it? Yeah, 0.05. So now with, let's just say we had 10 of them running, then that means that would be 0.5. So instead of in 2 minutes being down by 0.05, now we're going to be down by 0.5 with 10 of them running in 2 minutes. So that's going down a lot faster. The thing that sucks though is coming in here, you've got a whole bunch of these. So one of the things that you can do is if I go and minute 34, see it's already dropped some. We'll let this at least finish. There you go, it finished. Unfinished. So having a whole lot of these kind of sucks. All right, that one finished. They're probably close enough. I can say they're finished. Go to the bottom one. Yeah. So. Destroy. See, this is kind of tedious. It's no fun. So what you can do is the thing that's called threads. So you know how we just had 13 of them running? So what we're going to do is we're going to go and have one that runs, but pretends that it's running 13 of them. That's kind of what the threads are. So run this and -T for threads. We said 13. So now I've got, if I go back to the active scripts, I have one running for 13. Go to log. And eventually when you get down to the statement, what you'll see is that it'll go down in at 13, so 0.6, no. Yeah. 6.5. Go down by 0.65. Because we're no longer getting what the security is and all that, you're not going to see it here. But if I open up the other one, you'll see it more here. So that's from when all the other ones were going. Okay, security level set that. You'll see it drop down here soon. Cool. And I'm probably going to end this at this point here. So basically what's going to happen is all the rest of this will idle for the rest of the evening. And then of course I have work. So I'll have to do that later. So yeah, when you compare now, we can get down to a whole bunch. So from 8, so that 0.65 I mentioned earlier. So yeah, that's kind of the piece there. So yeah, this will just idle all night. I won't make any other changes. So that way we can all kind of start at the same position, start area. Obviously, if you're following along, depending on when you start and come back to it, the amount of cache and things that you'll have will be different. So I'll try to not use too much of that and try to go, well, maybe I'll just end this and not let it idle. No, because regardless, it's going to end up idling some. So like stop everything, and no, because that won't work. I have to delete everything. Yeah. So I'll just try not to use as much of it, but that's no guarantee. Yeah. So if you want to keep going, well, you'll just either watch the next video or you can wait. If you happen to get to it before the next one, you can go hit up that algorithms thing. I will change back to the